Let me read to you a passage from the 10th chapter of St. John's Gospel, verses 11 to 18. It's the Gospel for Monday of the 4th week in Eastertide. St. John writes, Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. The hired man is not the shepherd who owns the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and runs away. Then the wolf attacks the flock and scatters it. The man runs away because he is a hired man and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not of this fold. I must bring them in too. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. The reason my Father loves me is that I lay down my life, only to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up again. This command I received from my Father. That's from John chapter 10, verses 11 to 18. It speaks of Christ, the Good Shepherd. You know, in his discussion of the assent that is involved in religious faith, in his book, A Grammar of Assent, published in 1870, Cardinal Newman stressed the image as the medium of religious worship, religious prayer and life. The life of religion is not just a rational conclusion, though it includes conclusions, but an image of someone. That image of God in the heart of an individual or a people is treasured and nourished from a variety of sources, including the conscience and the devout reading of the Scriptures, especially the Gospels. Prescinding from the Christian religion, we see the power of images in the religious life of primal religions and the classical pagan religions of, say, Greece and Rome. Myth abounds. Myth serves a variety of functions. The religions of Greece and Rome were replete with myth, all products of the imagination, expressing deeper perceptions of the religious mind. The case is the same with traditional primal societies. When we turn to revealed religion, the religion expressed in the Judeo-Christian scriptures, images pervade what we read. Images are a principal medium of divine revelation, and this reaches its high point in the numerous parables devised and told by the Son of God made man. Christ's parables are all images. They strike the imagination while expressing the profoundest of truths upon which the reason of man may exercise itself across the ages. Let us take one image that is famous in the Christian and Jewish imagination. It is that which our Lord employs in today's Gospel. In the passage before this one, that is, in John chapter 10, verses 1 to 10, our Lord has described himself as the door of the sheepfold. All true shepherds must enter through him and lead the sheep out through him if they are to attain their pasture. Well, now the image changes. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. John chapter 10, verse 11. At the time of our Lord's use of this image of the good shepherd, it was a hallowed one, this image, with a history spanning many centuries. Hence it was powerful and full of significance, and it bears prayerful contemplation in the light of the Scriptures. One of the most well-known of the Psalms extols God as the individual's personal shepherd. In Psalm 23 we read, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Each sheep has pastures, has full confidence in its shepherd. In green pastures he gives me repose. Beside restful waters he leads me. He refreshes my soul. This image expresses in singular fashion the faith of Israel in God's particular providence, his tender care not just for his chosen people, but for each individual member of this people. We recall Christ's portrayal of the shepherd who leaves the 99 in the wilderness and goes after the stray. The point being the care of the shepherd of the individual sheep. This is repeated in Deutero-Isaiah, where God is portrayed as like a shepherd, he feeds his flock. In his arms he gathers the lambs, carrying them in his bosom and leading the ewes with care. Isaiah chapter 40 verse 11. Of course, God exercised this caring rule through earthly shepherds. Moses asked the Lord to appoint a leader so that the Lord's community may not be like sheep without a shepherd, he said. And so the Lord asked Moses to lay his hand on Joshua. Book of Numbers, chapter 27, verse 17 to 18. David, who had been a shepherd in Bethlehem, was anointed king of Israel. He had been told by the Lord that he would shepherd my people Israel. Second book of Samuel, chapter 5, verse 2. But as it turned out, the shepherds of Israel failed. Speaking as prophet of God, Ezekiel condemned the shepherds of Israel. A woe was pronounced on them, and God promised he would claim his sheep from them. He would save them himself. He would tend his sheep and would lead them to pasture upon the mountains of Israel. The image of God as shepherd of his people and of each member of his people was a long and hallowed one. Further, God promises to judge between his sheep and the goats. Ezekiel chapter 34 verse 17. And we see the promise of the fulfillment of this in Matthew chapter 25, when our Lord describes the final judgment. At the end, he will separate the sheep from the goats. Most importantly, Ezekiel prophesies the appointment by God of one shepherd over them to pasture them, my servant David. He shall pasture them and be their shepherd. Ezekiel chapter 34 verse 23. In Jesus Christ, God has intervened to be the shepherd of his people in person. His Son has come to lead the people to pasture, and each sheep is known, loved and cared for. So great is the care that our good shepherd lays down his very life for his sheep. I am the good shepherd, our Lord says. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not of this fold. I must bring them in too. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. John chapter 10 verse 11 to 18. These are powerful images, selected and employed by God himself, speaking through the prophets, and finally through his divine Son, our Redeemer. Let us treasure them, these images, especially the image of Christ, the Good Shepherd.